Mic check, mic check, mic check. Happy Thursday, folks. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Let me just double check. Facebook family, Facebook people. Good to see everyone this unbelievable morning. Let me just share this out. Mic check, mic check, mic check. What's going on? See what we're doing? Recapping what we have seen and what we have been discussing throughout the week. Hold on, let me. Mic check. Yep. All right, cool. Just go over to Facebook. Go live Monday through Friday. Actually, pretty much 7 days a week. It's Monday through Friday. There's film session Saturday, and then we got Stay Hired Sunday. So we are developing a system, an untouchable, unbreakable system that we're about to actually discuss a little bit in regards to how your business needs to be set up, the structure of your business, how you've got to get a habit. You got to build that habit, making sure you are getting control. You've got to get control. And we're going to talk about it. Let me just get all this stuff shared out real quick. Making sure you are getting control. Control. It's the name of the game. The name of the game around here. All right. Look excited. Happy to be here. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day you are consuming this evergreen material. By the way, if it is your first time tuning in, understand that the work I do and the content I create is evergreen material. I say 98% of it, close to probably this point, to be 100% honest with you, it's 100% of it. 100% of the content that you hear from me is evergreen material, meaning you can listen to it right now in 2025. You can pick it up in 2035. Pick it up in 3025. Whenever it is you consume it, it's going to be just as relevant, just as important, just as needed as it is today. All right. So before I go any further, because I do have a habit of getting into the topic before I actually introduce myself. Let me make sure I do that for anybody that's new to my world, new to this channel, new to all the work I do. All right. First and foremost, my name, it's Aswand Crookshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, very soon to be 6-time published author and educator. What I created a whole brand, a whole philosophy, a whole mindset that's all about taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and aligning them with businesses and business owners so they have a group of employees, they have a staff that moves as efficiently and as strong and has that anger, that eagerness to them, right? That hunger, that passion to them, the same way a high school or youth championship football team would have. So we want to mirror those two. We want to see that passionate high school youth championship football team, and we want that same energy in our staffs, in our businesses, in the way we're teaching our employees, and the way we're growing, the way we're building, the way we're just absolutely going out making money together, like making money and making a difference, right? Making money and making a difference. There's the two. You got to have that making money and making a difference hunger to you. See, that's the problem. A lot of you guys listening to me right now are running businesses or having to go into a situation, or if you're an employee listening to you're going to a business, going to a job that you have lost your edge. You've been, it's kind of sandpapered down, and you don't have the same hunger that you had when you were young. All right. So this is what I'm here to reignite. Sometimes I gotta wake you up a little bit. Gotta wake you up and get you going a little bit. All right. So that's what we do around here. Today is a Thursday, and what we do normally on Thursdays is we just recap what we discussed on Monday, what we discussed on Tuesday, and what we discussed yesterday on Wednesday. All right. So all week we've been talking about flaws and the things that flaws I put my ass out there and say, hey, these were my flaws. I'm going to be recapping those today and explaining to you, hey, the flaws that you have can be advantageous to you if you, number one, you recognize them, you're honest about them, you go to people that you know you the best and you ask them for honest feedback because you have a goal, you have the ability, you have a desire to get better. So you want to hear honest feedback. You don't want to hear bullshit where people are just telling you what they think you want to hear, but they're just telling you doing a good job. You're doing such a great job. You don't want to hear that bullshit. You want to be around some folks that'll get up and chew your ass out a little bit, and then get up in your behind a little bit, so you know how to get better the next day. You know what problems you need to be solving. See, the problem with a lot of you owners out there as well is you're so afraid of offending someone. You're so afraid of telling someone you're playing shit. I'm laughing because that's a quote from my mother. And then, by the way, if you're new around here, just know you're gonna get a lot of stories from my mother, because my mother is who built that mentality of me. But she's a Knicks fan, and I'm in my head, I'm picturing how she would always be like, "You're playing shit. You're playing shit." That's where a lot of my philosophy comes from, some of that rawness that you may feel. So, we're gonna be going over that and why it's important for you to really make sure you're exposing these things, and first and foremost, recognizing them in yourself. And then when you recognize them in yourself, you start to see them in other people, especially competitors. And everyone's a competitor. Everyone's competition. Everyone's out here trying to get a dollar, right? So you're going to see those people. You're going to see those people that are competitors of yours. You see flaws in their behaviors, flaws in the way they do things, and you're able to take advantage of those flaws for your victory and win. All right. So we're going to be just diving into it, go recap all of that today. Before we do that, however, let me get through some quick announcements, really, really quick announcements for you. And in fact, I actually will, this is going to be happening. It's going to be happening in the next couple of weeks, because at the moment, my podcast, the number one podcast on innovative teamwork, the Move Swiftly podcast, is going through some drama with Spotify right now. Going through some drama with Spotify. Seeing that, you got to understand, like, when I first started my show, I would put music at the end of every episode, and it was back when it was Anchor. So now that Spotify has bought, this happened maybe about a year or so ago. I think it happened a little earlier last year, because I remember writing an article about this very thing. But Spotify, which is known for music, they bought Anchor, and all the music that I had on my previous shows, that got flagged, and I had to take down all the music and, just have the interview show. And then, now there was some that didn't get me. So long story short is I got an email from Spotify saying, hey, we're going to have to suspend the podcast you can terminate the podcast. So it has had these issues when it came to it's well over 1,000 episodes. And what happened was they have to suspend the podcast on Spotify. So you're not going to see the Move Swiftly podcast on Spotify at the moment. I'm going back and forth with the email people now to get that situated. But at the same time, I'm actually more so moving forward with, because here's the thing about podcasting. Once you have the recordings, and the recordings are all saved on my computer and all on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So most of the time it's YouTube, it goes on YouTube, and then I put it on the Spotify and all that kind of stuff. So the recordings are available. The recordings, I personally kind of point people in the direction of YouTube as it is. So what I am going to be doing over the next couple of weeks is making sure there's more of a website that you can go to that has all the episodes, and that you can listen to all the episodes in the history of the show, because at this point it's well over 1,000 episodes. So all of these recordings are saved on YouTube and on my computer. So instead of me trying to, go and redo Spotify and all that kind of stuff, I could now make it so I can have my own platform for you to listen to it from. And then Spotify, if you are listening to it on Spotify, it'll be back on Spotify whenever those episodes just kind of get recalibrated and reconnected and all that kind of stuff. So that's just the life of a content creator, the life of an entrepreneur. It's just what it is. When you put out this amount of material and this amount of quality material, this is just the belly of the beast, so to speak, and what you got to deal with, which is why it's got to come out naturally. It's got to flow naturally. When you decide this is what you're going to do and how you going to, get your bread and how you going to go get to your bag, if this is the direction you're going to go, you got to be willing and able to stand on solid principles and stand on a solid foundation in case some other platform is on some bullshit. you have all your stuff ready to where you can move on. In fact, I'll even show you before I even get to the announcements. This book right here, the book my most recent book, Transferring D1, a practical guide on how to navigate the chaotic world of college athletics. It came because my LinkedIn account got hacked. I put it in the book. My LinkedIn account got hacked. My previous LinkedIn account got hacked, and then I had to reorder and redo a lot of different things. And it's like, all right, you know what? Let me make sure I'm having my own platform, my own built up, my own list, all that kind of stuff. So that's a lesson for probably maybe next week or a week after. I'll dive into that topic. So let me get through the announcements and then we'll go from there. So first and foremost, business owners, as I mentioned, I am here to serve you, here to help you, here to make it so you're not dealing with the turnover issue. Only thing you need to do is go to free. You heard me correctly. freeguide.makeyourmove.com. It's very, very simple, very easy process. First, last name, phone number, and email, and you will be receiving a free guide on how to make it so your staff has some cohesion. It's a 10-step process. You could utilize it right now so your staff has the cohesion that you need in order to make it. We work in making a very easy math problem. So number one, you've got to establish measurables. You've got to establish measurables. Let's say it again for the people in the back. You got to establish measurables. Measurables are a must. You don't want people walking in and out of your business just dead weight, not knowing what the fuck it is they're supposed to be doing every single day, because now you're just taking money and you're flushing it down the toilet and paying people to do absolutely nothing. You don't want to be in that position. Telling you, because you're going to walk in, you're going to get comfortable with the check, and then next thing you know, you don't have a damn business. You got to give people measurables that are going to be win-win and mutually beneficial to both of you, all right? Once you do that the right way, that eventually establishes the professional distance that you need to establish, and then that is the productive environment that you want. You want a productive environment where, yes, you're going to have some fun, you're going to put in some work, and you're going to get uncomfortable a little bit here and there, but at the end of the day, there's going to be results at the end. There's going to be results. There's going to be quality results at the end of the day. freeguide.makeyourmove.com. Get your copy now to start the process. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the process is going to be that you're going to have it all figured out by then, but it is going to be important that you start that process so you don't fall into the habit of just paying people whatever. Now, if you're ready, you see, so that's what I'm saying. The episodes are with the podcast. It's on some nonsense right now, but we'll figure it out. If you're ready now, makeyourmove.com. If you're ready for me to come in and speak to your organization, to teach them how to develop this mindset, just go to makeyourmove.com. You can purchase everything you need to purchase right there on the spot and shop and do your research on me, because you will be making a sizable investment when you decide to have me come and speak to your staff. All right. So that's it for the announcements. Let's get into what we have been discussing throughout the week. All right. We'll start with Make Your Move Monday. For those of you who don't know, we start Make Your Move Monday with a kickoff question. And the kickoff question this week was, what are your flaws and how are they beneficial? All right. This one was all me. Recognizing some of the things that have happened in my life that I said to myself, I want to do this better. I want to do that better. There were things that there are things that myself, now that I'm in my mid-30s, that I said to myself, hey, when I was thinking the way I was thinking in my early 20s, early to mid-20s, all the way into my early 30s, there are certain flaws and certain patterns that remain consistent. All right. And for me, it was, I made the assumption throughout my time, really on the come up. I made the assumption that everyone cares as deeply as I do. I made that assumption. There's a lot of relationships, a lot of people that I've met, a lot of ideas that I got excited about, a lot of people that shook hands with, have looked me in the eye, have said they're going to do this and going to do that. A lot of people have said a lot of shit, right? And I take in that information with the assumption that they care as much as I do. So the reason you see this, or let me see if I can, yes. The reason you see a picture of the legendary Jerry West who headlined this article, it was because it was in his book, one of my favorite books, my favorite sports autobiographies. Jay West is the guy who they have the NBA logo. His name is depicting him. In fact, let me just pull it up while I see I got some Wi-Fi issues. So let me just pull that up while those get rectified. Jerry West. Oh, no. Yes, this is it. Come on, Wi-Fi, don't do this to me. Let me get a sip of water while we get the Wi-Fi rolling. Come on, Wi-Fi. And we're back. All right. So, yes, if you don't know who Jerry West is the individual who's the logo for the NBA. All right. So I read his book while I was going through. I mean, to this day, I'll say it was easily the toughest season. I mean, a tough season. I was 24 going on 25. I tried to start this team in Ocean City, Maryland, named the Ocean City Sharks. I was busting my ass doing everything I could, sleeping out of a car that eventually got repossessed. I wasn't having any. I left my job because I had the assertion. I was sure that this idea was going to work. I went and joined the Chamber of Commerce. Me and my mother drove out from Silver Spring, Maryland to Ocean City, and we saw the Delmarva Shorebirds, which is the minor league baseball franchise that's located right there. Same setup, same everything. I found a location at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. So much was already in place. So many pieces of the puzzle that I was able to put together to make this idea of the Ocean City Sharks work. In fact, I have my second book. Touched on it. Let me just show you guys real quick. Second book right here. You see it? It's right here. For you guys to see, I ain't hiding from it. I ain't ducking from it. It's right there. I tried everything in my power to get this done. Yet the flaw that I had was I had assumed that the people that I was working with cared as much as I do, because I started the idea to give opportunities for players who were trying to get to the league, and I wanted not only trying to get to the league, but also you got to understand, I graduated college. The NFL was during the longest work stoppage in NFL history. It was during that lockout year. So I was trying to do something for the NFL as well, because clearly they need a feed. And I say it to this day, the NFL you see it at the UFL. You see it with all these, spring leagues that pop up, and that's probably going to fold soon. You saw it with the XFL, which merge with the UFL. You kind of see the writing on the wall where this league is going to fold very, very soon. You could watch a UFL game and you can see nobody's in the crowd. Nobody. All right. I had the idea. I still have the idea. There's nothing wrong with the idea. Have the idea that would have solved a lot of the issues that come up day in every single time you hear a spring league pop up and then it fails. That idea to just focus on the city and not put it on TV and make it something that was about training, make it something that was about upping out some D2, Division 3, some smaller FCS programs where I came from, make it something that that is about opportunities for them and not a big media TV thing. That's where the direction should have been going. That was the idea I had all in place. Now, I didn't have the funds available for me to actually get it done. I didn't have the capital, yet I was assuming certain things about other people that I was meeting, that they really just cared about this problem, when very few people actually gave a shit. Very few people gave a shit. So I spoke about that. in this article because it was a flaw that I recognized in myself. But you got to understand, this is a two-part. This was a two-part question. The two-part question was, okay, what are your flaws, but how are they beneficial? How are they beneficial? So let me get to the part where they're beneficial, because now that I've recognized that flaw in myself, and I'm telling you this so you can use me as an example. When I've recognized that flaw in myself, I use it to my advantage by the fact that I now offer employee development workshops for those business owners who are really, really passionate and care about their business more than anybody will ever care about their business. And they are trying their best to get a staff, to get people caring about their business to that level. So I put myself in a situation where the folks that are paying me to do a job, they care just as much as I do. That's the key. One of my favorite sayings is one. I didn't mention this Monday on the show. I mentioned it on the Move Swiftly Thought, but I want to mention it now. Is about another book. Actually, let me pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. I'm pull it up. My podcast as soon as I'm pulling up the book really quick. During that time, there was a man named Rex Ryan. There it is, Rex Ryan. All right, Rex Ryan also wrote a book titled "Play Like You Mean It." And this is when he was flying high with the New York Jets. All right, flying high. He's probably had the best run with the New York Jets to this date. All right, definitely recommend the book for anybody that's into coaching and stuff like that. I think he does a pretty. I'm not sure if he's going to be. I'm not sure if he's going to be with ESPN or what they're doing and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm bringing this book up because it was during that time where I read the book, and I, for the first time, heard the phrase, "They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." Now, these were again, he's the head coach for the New York Jets. I just graduated from Stony Brook. I was very familiar with just the area and, some of the people that did some internship work with them, and being an athlete out there, you just kind of hear things in certain circles. So when I heard his phrase like that, I said to myself, okay, the fact that I care so much can be advantageous to me if I get around people who understand that philosophy, who care to the point where they're more so focused on showing people how much they care about them before they start, dousing them with, oh, I know this and I know that, and I'm just qualified to teach you because of my title. No, I'm qualified to teach you because how much I care about you. I'm qualified to teach you because I care about you to a point where I don't want things like negative things to be happening to you. Okay. That's when people are able to receive it. All right. So as we move on to the next phase, I'm just giving you kind of Mondays, what we talked about Monday, and I'm breaking it down for you so you understand, hey, I got to do certain things. I got to look within before I start telling people how to run their lives or make decisions and stuff like that. I got to start looking at the flaws in myself, and then I have the authority to tell someone how, or give someone a suggestion in regards to how they're going to do whatever it is they're going to do. All right. Now, that was Monday. That was Mondays. The next day we discussed, as we always do here, is a top 5. All right. Top five flaws. My top 5 flaws exposed. That's what I did. I called my girl and I called my mother the week before. All right, the week before, as I was prepping for this day, prepping for this week, and I said, "Yo, I need you to give me." It was back. They weren't on FaceTime together, but it was, called my girl once, and then right after I got off the phone with her, called my mom and said, "Yo, all right, I need you to give me the top 5 flaws that you see in me, the top 5 things that you've heard me say, or that you have analyzed, you broke down. Obviously, you care very deeply about me. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think I need to be doing to improving whatever situation or whatever goes through your mind." Right. So the flattering part was neither one of them was able to come up with 5. That was pretty flat. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I ain't gonna lie to you. That was pretty cool. They were only able to come up with 3, and they virtually, through the 3 of them, pretty much gave the similar answers, so to speak. They were only able to come up with 3 that were similar, and we thought through the extra 2, right? And I think it's important that you do this. I did this specifically to be on here telling you to do this. Do this. All right, do this, because you start to really get an idea, get a picture in terms of who is meant to be in your life and who isn't. All right, who are you willing to share things with? Who's someone that's going to shoot it to you straight, let you know what you need to improve on, not because they're trying to be assholes to you, but because they want to see you grow and they want to see you get better. That is the test. It's a litmus test. So you do an inventory, do a self-check on the people that are in your life and the circles that you have. And you say to yourself, all right, look, I'm going to hit this one up, hit that one up, and give it to me raw. Give it to me raw and uncut. In fact, I gave the example actually of Tim Tebow back when he was going through all of his, all the press and all this stuff going on with Tim Tebow, when they were talking about if he was going to be an NFL quarterback, which he is, and he's not good enough to play in the NFL. Love him as a college player, but he wasn't a college player. He wasn't an NFL quarterback. All right. So anyway, he got cut, I believe, from the New England Patriots, and then he ended up doing some work with ESPN as an analyst or whatever. There was a story that Trent Dilfer told, the one who coaches at UAB now. He told back when he was at ESPN, he said, look, Tebow called me after a few months and he told me to come out and watch him do an evaluate. He wanted me to evaluate him as a quarterback and give me an honest evaluation. These are the things you're going to eventually need to start doing. All right. Although I'm using Tebow as an example, even though he didn't, he wasn't good enough to play in the NFL, it's still a principle and still certain things that you can be doing if you're if you're serious about your life and you're serious about the places that you're trying to go to. Who can you call? Who can you reach out to say, hey, give me an honest evaluation, right? Give me an honest evaluation about myself, where I'm going, what I'm about. Give me something honest. Tell me what I need to know so I can get better. Do you have these people? Do you have these people in your inner circles, in your personal life, that you can call and say, can you just let me know what I need to do to get better? If you don't, you got a fucking problem, a big one, a huge one. All right. Because you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. There's not one individual walking the streets that is perfect in regards to just everything they do. So you got to ask yourself, am I around enough people that are as hard on me as I need them to be? All right. So when I call them, this was the top three things that they said. Hold on, let me get a sip of water. Number one was a gimme. Was a gimme. Put my foot in my mouth. Yes, I do. And as a person who fell into the public speaking game, you gotta stand with me. I fell into the public speaking game out of necessity in terms of what I was living through, what I had to go through, my decision to move out here to Florida and all that. I had to learn how to speak. Not even before then. When you first learn who I am, when you first ask for my name and you have to introduce yourself to someone, I have to tell people my name is Aswan Crookshank. 9 times out of 10, I have to give a matter of fact, to be honest, it's 10 times out of 10 at one point, to be honest with you. But I have to give this person a correction. And this was happening when I was a kid. So this teacher, this person that's going through attendance that my parents told me to always listen to, my initial interaction with them is me giving them a correction. I have to say my name with more feeling. I have to say my name with a little more authority. I'd say, no, it's not Antoine. It's not Ashwan. It's Aswan. You see the authority. You see the confidence. You see the build. You see the fact that I have to speak up a little bit. So these were little habits that were going on from when I was a kid that led me, that I didn't know. Again, I did not know. It led me into the public speaking world, of being a public figure and all that kind of stuff that just comes with the territory. So there are things I speak about that I speak confidently on about and say it on camera and unapologetically say it. And they're the wrong things. They're just getting the wrong information. I may have missed the mark many times. All right. But it just comes with the territory. All right. So number one is I put my foot in my mouth, and that's going to happen with anybody that's a public speaker. It's just the nature of the beast. It's just what you're going to have to deal with. Next thing was cheap or excessively frugal. My girl put it excessively frugal. I'm up a little more raw and blunt. Yeah, it's cheap. He's cheap. Now, considering what I explained to you guys when it came to the Ocean City Sharks idea, no income, living literally in a car that got repossessed, having to go to email my mom, to go to a payphone and call her because I didn't have a cell phone, none of that shit. All right. These are, it doesn't matter what I'm making now or what I have in a bank account now. These are feelings and things that you go through in life that you never shake. You never shake. So you know how to spend every single dollar. And that's important. That's important that you just understand that when you're meeting people, they know that about you, you know that about them, and then you guys work through your financial situations together. That's currently what I'm going through at the moment, is that there's not a person who's pushy and trying to, dig into your finances and you digging into her finance. None of that. It's about, hey, where are we building? What are we going? What's a priority for us now? So we don't sort of overstep each other. We don't overstep what each other has built and what we are aspiring to do at this point. That's not fair to anybody. And these are the things that you have to really ask yourself and recognize in people, because this is a big one, especially when you're talking about relationships. It's your finances that, in fact, my girl texted me last week. She texted me this video where I can't remember the podcaster's name, but they were talking about the number one reasons for divorces and the number one reasons why married couples don't last is because of finances. Finances is a big one, and you got to be, and again, you just got to be fair to yourself, whether you're the man or the woman in the situation. You got to be fair to yourself and ask yourself, what are you aspiring to do with your own life? And then what are your goals? How far are you from those goals? And when it comes time to aligning those goals with another person, just be very respectful to that person and what they've gone through. And then also at the same time, be respectful to yourself and what you're going through and what you're trying to do, how you were living before you met a person. And then you guys work through these things together on a day-to-day basis. This isn't just dropping $80,000 for a house, or dropping some excessive amount because you just have it in the bank. That's just being fucking stupid. It's about, aligning up actual partnership where you guys are working together and you're able to see the work ethic in a person. I say it all the time. Should I put it in this book as well? I was blessed enough to have the best teammates anybody can ask for. I'm gonna put it up on the screen now. Hold up, yes, these two. I played with the best line. The two years I played varsity high school football, these were the linebackers I had. The late Akeem Hebron, who ended up going to the University of Georgia, as he was the number one linebacker next to me. And then Jelani Jenkins, I played with my junior year, and he went to the University of Florida. I had the best team. I had the best teammates in high school. And I tell people all the time, look, these guys were elite, and they used to call me like the other linebacker. So when it came to how I was going to pick a potential spouse or potential suitor, I wanted to make sure it was a genuine partnership. I tell her all the time, look, the physical stuff, all that stuff fades. And again, very attractive lady, obviously, I'm not going to date anyone ugly, but the physical stuff, it fades within the first 5 minutes with me, because I was around some teammates that put in their work. And one of the things that she has recognized in me is that I pay attention to the work that a person puts in. And this that we're talking about here, this being cheap or excessively frugal, or having the mindset of not spending this and spending that, all of that, it comes with a great deal of baggage that it started back when you were a kid. This has nothing to do with you and another person as much as it has to do with a mindset that made it so you were able to get through as a kid. That's the key to this. All right. So that was number 2. It's cheap, excessively frugal. And it's a very, very important discussion that you need to be having. If you're not having this discussion and not having the discussion in a way that is fair to both two parties, you're losing ground. I'm telling you, I've seen some bullshit. I've seen a lot of bullshit happen, and it happens within the blink of an eye. I don't have time to digest, or I don't have time to talk about all of them, but it's just a lot of bullshit that goes on when you don't consider these things as the foundation. Now, 3 and 4, number 3 and 4, I can be unrealistic with my plans and I can get too excited and drift off topic. Those are kind of self-explanatory, as we've been discussing, kind of goes back to number 2 when it comes to finances and having a great idea that can work, but just not doing the sacrifices and the work I needed to do to make it work. So the thing with the Ocean City, we'll use the Ocean City Sharks idea as an example. Now, as great of an idea as it should have been my responsibility. I was responsible for going and creating an income or making sure I had an income every 2 weeks as I can sort of put my, like, that's literally, I remember my mother used to say it all the time. It's literally all you needed to make this idea work was to just go get a little hustle out in Ocean City, go get a little job out there that was paying you every 2 weeks. And then you could have created the idea as you were building. But, it is what it is. It happened and I learned from it. So, and then number 5 was I just don't market my brand enough. You don't see this plus LY logo enough. You just don't do it enough because you're so focused on doing the work. And again, that is going to change as we get to 2026. Cannot believe we are halfway through this thing. This is crazy. All right. So that was Top 5 Tuesday, and yesterday, Wintrepreneur Wednesday, where we dived in. I expressed and I showed you all why you need to be hired. If you are a major sports network and you need a play-by-play announcer for the college football games, college or high school football games, all right, you need to be hollering at me, man. You need to be fucking with your boy. All right, you need to get at me on some. I'm telling you, all right, because and these were things coming out of me that I didn't even plan on saying, but we discussed exposing one's flaws, and I used the regular examples that we see when we watch the game of football, when these media folks, these mainstream media folks want to talk all about how great a quarterback is and how, they're going to be the savior of a franchise, and this quarterback going to do this. And this quarterback is the reason we won this. And this quarterback is this. And this one lost to this. They done got to the point where they are making it so they have games that you're watching ESPN, and you would think that there's a matchup that the game is only between 2 players. The game would be Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen. This is how idiotic some of these people are on TV. So foolish some of these people all are on TV. They have said stuff like, "Oh man, Josh Allen beat Lamar Jackson in the AFC North semis." Like, what? No, the Bills beat the Buffalo Ravens. All right. I mean, excuse me. The Bills beat they got me saying shit. The Bills beat the Baltimore Ravens, not the Buffalo Bills, not the Baltimore Ravens. My apologies, right? But and that's why it drives me crazy. Let me try not to get too off topic. That's why, because sometimes they throw me off with some of the bullshit that they be on. They would say stuff like, "Okay, can Josh Allen beat Patrick Mahomes this year?" They won't say, "Can the Buffalo Bills beat the Kansas City Chiefs?" That's not what they say. "Well, Jalen Hurts went and he beat Pat Mahomes." No, he did not. No, he did not. The Eagles, if you watch the fucking game, you saw the Eagles D-line absolutely expose all of the weaknesses and all of the flaws that the Kansas City Chiefs had up front. That's why they won. So as we got into Wintrepreneur Wednesday, we discussed the fact that you as a business owner and you as a person now that's in competition, you got to start to look at the flaws in a person. You got to look at the flaws in your competitor's business and then move in that direction. I'll close you out with this example because I meant to mention it yesterday and I got so off topic that I completely forgot to bring it up. But one of my favorite books, it's Jim Weber, Brooks. He's the founder of a shoe running company named Brooks. And he has a book titled Running with a Purpose. And he discussed the competition that he has with Nike. And he was saying how his focus and how he broke it down like this. His company spends like a fraction of what Nike spends in marketing, yet they're not too far off in terms of the profits and how much they make. So when you minus what Nike is spending in marketing versus what they're spending in marketing, it's almost like Brooks is outdoing them from the perspective of once you minus those costs of marketing, right? And he was saying that they got to a point where they only focused on runners. They only focused on, now myself as a runner, obviously it was a great lesson for me to learn and pleasure reading along with some knowledge as well. But he said, if you only focus on runners, only focus on what you do, you don't have to worry about a competitor doing this and doing that. And I'm bringing this to you because it's the same way Under Armour was able to establish themselves. It's the same way a lot of business owners, if the ones that are successful, have focused and streamlined their focus to serving this niche group of people. When you serve that niche group of people, simply serve them every day and allow everything else to spread from that place. That's why you hear me say it every single day. For you business owners that are looking to establish teams and reduce the turnover in your business, that is who I'm about. That's who I'm about teaching these lessons to. So all that being said, tomorrow we got Faith-Based Friday. Then Saturday, like I mentioned, film session Saturday. We were breaking down the Texas-Arizona State game, and then Stay Hired Sunday. And then we jumping into a new topic next week. Looking forward to that. Again, if you are a business owner, if you're not yet, make sure you head over to makeyourmove.com. That's makeyourmove.com. Get you an employee development workshop. Inquire about an employee development workshop. We'll jump on a call and give you your options on how you can get it paid for and all that kind of stuff. Everyone else out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.